impact report is the summarization of all of the nominations that you gave at an individual level inside the organization. And as you can imagine, with individual level nominations, things can be sometimes a little bit sensitive. And so we keep this report private and confidential to individuals where personal data is being exposed. We do use some of the data for aggregated purposes, and you'll see some of the benchmarking is the result of some of the aggregations that we put together. But the idea here is we are building a network of your organization, and you can see that network here. It's very interesting, and some people might say beautiful picture. And you can see every single individual is represented by a node, and your node inside the organization is colored in red, and all of the edges, the red edges, are your connections through the organization. And the way we think about these networks is we are measuring your collaborative impact inside an organization. And your overall performance, we see as being your individual performance multiplied by this collaborative impact. And if you want to be a truly high performer, you need to think about the individual performance, the what you're delivering on, and then the collaborative impact, which is kind of the way you go about it, the how you deliver. And we'll go through the different categories, but at a top level, the way we think about this is across three different broad network types. So top level networks, we have operational networks. So, to what extent are you an operator within the organization? We have motivational networks. And this is the kind of attributes that start building as you become slightly more of a team player, more of a motivator inside your organization. And it may be that you're presenting the attributes that we would expect from, say, a manager inside the organization. And then looking through to some of the strategic connections. And these are attributes that we start to see develop as you progress through your career. And they are some of the more complex relationships that might exist. And these are where we see people showing signs of being high quality leaders inside an organization. This particular example is, in fact, a fairly senior leader inside the organization. You can see back here, they are integral to the overall business. They are the connector of this team. They're connected to another team, and these are two sort of, I guess, inside this organization, they're too heavily siloed. And so this person here, we're already looking at this network and we're thinking, okay, this person looks like they are controlling a significant workflow. They're clearly operationally very competent, and they're clearly fairly central to the organization. So we'll be starting to see some of those themes come out in the data. Looking at the operational network in a little bit more detail, we've split this off into two categories. First category is information sharing. So this might be all types of information, but it can be general data, it can be tacit knowledge that exists inside the organization. And it's really where people are coming to you to get information. And we move on to the agility network. And this is the network that we look at for who comes to you to get stuff done. Inside the organization. This is sort of a speed network almost. So these are two very operational factors. And in this case, as we probably expect for somebody who is very, very well connected and possibly the owner of a silo inside the organization, they're operationally very highly connected because they're having to work super hard to keep their business unit, this business unit here, connected back into the rest of the organization. So let's look at the motivational factors, which this individual is a little low on. And we see sometimes when people are operationally over-connected, we see that often that can take an impact on some of the social categories. And so the things we're measuring here are energetic connections. So these are people who you go to for motivation. Psychological safety, who do you feel psychological safe with? And then the feedback network. So this is who do you go to for kind of critical feedback in how you do your role. And this is something that we would expect a really high quality manager to be maybe at or above benchmark on all of these categories. And as I said, if you're a highly over leveraged in the operational categories, then sometimes that can impact your ability to be the highest quality manager. It doesn't mean to say you won't be, but it's often something to be aware of. And then we drop down into strategic impact. And so this is when we start looking at some of the qualities that we would expect to develop over the course of someone's career. Some of the more complicated aspects of a role. So here we're looking at the ability to solve complex problems, for example, the ability to be creative and innovative, and then the ability to help others around you develop, then deepen and broaden their skills, knowledge, and experience. So complex learning characteristics. And you can see this is obviously interesting that this individual is a bit low on the innovation side, but then great when it comes to helping people develop broader themes and ideas. So all of these aspects together get collected, and this is where we build some benchmarks. So every single individual inside your organization has a specific set of role attributes. And this doesn't necessarily mean you have to be at, above, or around the benchmark, but they're indicators for what the data says about your role type. And these role type attributes will be things like number of people in your overall team, number of direct reports, your tenure within the organization, the number of years you've had inside your actual role that you're doing right now, the number of people in your geography. And we build up a picture of your specific role and the attributes relating to that role that gives you a proxy for where you should be sitting within your benchmark. Now, the other thing to think about is just the relative strength of qualities that exist within your report as well. So, if you're somebody who's looking to build the innovation networks, then you might find that that's a little bit lower than perhaps your other strategic networks, and that's just an area that you might want to focus on. So as with any high quality data and interesting report, the most powerful way you can use this, and there's definitely no obligation to do this, as I said, there's some sensitivity to some of this data, is to find some people around you who you can trust, and who you're willing to share this information with, and then you can work with others, and ideally that's your manager. You can work with others to surface some of these insights and to work on a collective plan for how you can improve the quality of your network. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the report.